Hi,
Welcome
welcome.
to Wonder in the Weeds.
XYZ segment. I'm your Gen X host, Cristie.
I'm your Gen Z host, Faith.
We decided to do sort of a Q&A, modified Q&A, but it's also a little bit of like, what are some misconceptions we're hearing and seeing that we would like to clarify? So I'll start with you.
Yeah.
What is the first thing you wanted to address with the listeners?
I want to defend myself a little bit. Just not defend myself because we're not getting like hate comments.
No, but for context, the clip that I think you're probably referring to about saying, I don't know how to
be a girl that guys like.
I mean, the most viewed thing that I have ever put out on the internet in my life. And I've been on the internet for a long, long time.
Yeah.
No matter how many more of these we do, how many segments, how many things, how many other clips there are, that one consistently has 10 to 20 views a day of new people that are finding us based solely on that clip.
It's crazy.
Feel free to clarify, because it's definitely not.
Well, I just feel like perhaps the public perception I've been putting out is that I'm kind of only ever thinking about dating and boys and getting married. And that's not true. Honestly, I feel like defending myself makes it feel like that's what I'm thinking about more. Like it's kind of you're caught between a rock and a hard place a little bit here.
Yeah.
We have talked off mics about, not to toot my own horn, but like dating is kind of the only thing in my life that isn't going really, really well. So it can be easy to zero in on that.
Ooh, that's a good point.
Because it's kind of like, again, this is going to sound like a brag, and I'm sorry. My life is pretty good, and I have a great job, and, I haven't moved out of my parents' house yet, but I was able to buy a car this year. The bank was able to buy a car. I was able to take out a loan.
You were able to finance a car.
Yeah, I was able to finance a car. I have like consistent work through the end of 2026. I just found out I'm kind of able to explore a lot of like career opportunities. I've got pretty good friends still. And it feels like the piece that is like quote unquote missing or not going my way is dating. And so it can be easy for me to like zero in on that. And sometimes maybe the other people in my life, like for better or worse, again, my off mic friends are usually like, I had a conversation with somebody recently where I was like, well, I've never had a boyfriend. And they were like, what? What do you mean? And I was like, it's just never been in the cards for me. And that was the first time I ever phrased it that way.
Yeah.
Of like, usually I'm like, well, it's because, like I come up with a reason for.
But honestly, I'm going to come in and I'm going to jump in because this is really the first time you have focused on it.
Yeah.
Like all through, like when everybody else had boyfriends or was like looking for boyfriends or girlfriends or whatever, you weren't. So like we would have, I would even be like, what? What's wrong with her? And not what's wrong with her in the like, is there actually something wrong? But I'd be like, I wonder why, this is the therapist mom part of me. I'd be like, I wonder what it is about her that like has no interest in relationships or has no interest in boys at this point, or girls. I'm saying boys because I know that's what she was interested in.
Yeah.
And plenty of like Hollywood crushes and like movie crushes and things like that, but never like a real person so much. But now I would say you're like a lot of girls were in high school.
Yeah.
Where you're like, this is what I'm focusing on now.
Mm-hmm. And it really sometimes makes me feel so stupid. Like, again.
Stupid because you're focusing on it or stupid because you didn't before?
Well, I don't actually ever really feel bad about not doing it before.
Yeah.
Because what are you going to, no offense, internet, you go try and tell 17-year-old Faith literally anything. Go ahead. I dare ya. Because I was just not, and I definitely had moments where I was like, yeah. I had moments where I was like, as everyone does at 17, where you're like, I'm ugly, I'm terrible, nobody's ever gonna like me. Like I think everyone has that at some point. But I had really good friends. And I still do have really good friends who like, across the gender spectrum of people who like really love me and care about me and want to see me do well. And I was like, okay, so it's not
And also weren't really focused on
like dating.
coupling.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like you had a couple friends that had girlfriends or boyfriends
Yeah.
but not many.
Not many. And it was never.
Even in college, you only had a couple that like partnered up.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was like their partners became also my
your
friends.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
it was never really no one was ever looking at, I never felt like I was the odd man out in that situation.
But it's interesting because you said something at the very beginning that I thought, oh, that's so true. Like, not that you're like focusing on it now, but that, I think we talked about this in another episode, the like wheel of life where you're like, is it spirituality or career or money or whatever? Your wheel is pretty complete.
Yeah.
In a lot of other ways. And this is the thing. So it sort of makes sense that that's what we talk about on this a lot, because we're not going to get on here and talk about like all the things that are going really well, because that's not what like finding the wonder is about. Like, but it's a lesson maybe in that maybe you should spend some more time on the things that are going really well instead of just the deficits or what you think are deficits right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's such to go back to like Gen X, Gen Z, of like, there is such a market for being quote unquote undateable, like to fix that or to get you to think about, like, I think of like, or there's either a market for
there's
like
a reason why that clip is in everyone's
crazy.
algorithm. Yeah.
And it like now I get fed either content of like happy couples or it's like three camps. I either get like trad wives, like I get like, I gave up all my rights and all my financial responsibilities.
I should let my husband vote for me.
And I turn my brain off when my boyfriend's around. And I'm like, oh, well, I again, you try turning this brain off. I would love to see it happen. Or I get like really sweet couples just doing like nice couple things, like aspirational, like couples content.
Yeah.
Or I get young women my age complaining about how hard it is to be the only single person in your friend group. And
you don't really have any of those things.
I don't really have any of those things. And yet it's also very easy for me to watch those and feel the whole spectrum of of all of those emotions, because that's what I'm being given. Like there are not often days, but you and I have joked a little bit of like, would it be easier if we just decided we shouldn't have rights? Like, do you, like we just really, if we just were like, well, brains. Maybe we should just like we get married and have babies and have that just be. And by the way, that's not just anything. No,
if that's what you
that
choose,
is a full-time job. If that is your choice.
Yes.
If you are in a position to choose that.
I did.
Yes,
Hello.
Exactly. Yeah. But that kind of internet narrative of like, I all I do is I take care of our newborn and I don't like
collect the eggs from the chicken coop.
Exactly.
Crap like that.
And there are days where I'm like, would it be easier to find a boyfriend if I just stopped believing in feminism? And the answer is probably yes. But that's not a guy I would want to date. No. Like, are you crazy? Yeah. And then the other, the aspirational couples content, like that's why we read romance books, is that we're like, yeah, it's so much easier. Everything is easier when somebody else is writing what everybody says.
Yeah.
Like, I love a romance book because I love good banter. So,
well, yeah, you like modern romance books where there is good banter.
Yeah, I'm not reading like, no shade to Bridgerton, but I'm not reading Bridgerton. I'm reading like Emily Henry, who loves to write like people having conversations and then making
snappy couples. Yeah.
And then the like, it's so hard to be single in America. I'm like, no, girl, no, it's not.
Yeah.
It's hard for 3 weeks out of every year.
It's hard on the internet.
Like,
I think that's it. Like, so much of this stuff, we're on here trying to, clear up common misconceptions, but they're actually not. If you've ever met her in real life, these are not misconceptions. Yes. These are like based on this little clip you saw on your Instagram algorithm.
And that clip of like, for more context, that like, I don't know how to be a girl that guys like. There are days where that does feel true, but also I do, because
but also you're not like trying to be.
I'm not trying to be like, I definitely.
That was the part about that clip that I hated, was I was like, this makes it look like that I'm trying to like teach her how to be a girl. The guy's like, and if you even just listen to the rest of the show, that's very obviously not the point of the conversation. But yeah, that clip, it's really resonating with you guys out there. And so just know it's not her only focus in the world.
And there are days where like, I don't know, I think that beyond dating, there are days where you're like, I don't even know how to be a person.
Well, yeah.
And that's largely what I felt coming from that. And there's also the societal expectation. We talked about this a little off the mic too. Not an expectation you've put on me by any means.
Yeah.
But like, I remember talking about this with one of my guy friends where we were like, we graduated from college, and why does it feel like the next step is we should immediately get married? Like, why is that? We both were like, our parents did not put that expectation on us.
And we didn't have it. Like, we're the weird ones, your dad and I, that we were married so young. All of our friends were like in their 30s when they got married.
It's definitely,
they lived full lives first.
Yes. And but we talk about, you know, if Gen Z is used to being like taught to the test, for lack of a better word, like
rubrics
in the rubric of life, what's the next goalpost? What's the next A? What's the next like thing? And compound that with like, I mean, the internet is just the worst place in the world. Well, subscribe.
Keep listening to us on the internet.
It feels crazy to be like, the internet's bad and you should get off it. But keep listening to the podcast,
except for us,
guys.
YouTube and podcast and Substack.
Mm-hmm.
Stay there.
Stay there.
No, but I also think that this idea that the internet is an extreme place. And so I think that you have to have like, the life isn't extreme. You know, you're not just focused on getting boys, and that's not necessarily, I said getting boys, like you're 12, but you know what I mean?
Here's the thing, that's kind of how it feels though, because I'm like,
I haven't checked that part off.
Yeah, I haven't checked
that
box.
There's a little bit of that, yeah. And I also think though there's more nuance to it than just the next thing I have to do to be successful is find a partner. But I do think there's some, not truth, but some real feelings in there of when you get out of college, we've talked about this before, it's hard to make friends when you're not sort of every day seeing the same people, and you don't have the kind of job where you're going and meeting, you know, coworkers your same age that maybe you're hanging out with or whatever. Mm-hmm. And so it can feel extra lonely if you don't have that one other person. Like you talk about your friend all the time that lives with her boyfriend, and they have each other. Mm-hmm. Like they did this big exciting thing where they moved and they got a new place and their new jobs and all the same things you're doing, but they have one another to come home to and be like, I hate it here, or I love it here, or whatever. And so I think there's some reality to that, like thinking, well, the next thing I need to do is partner up. And here's where I'm going to get into the extreme thing. This is like the therapy part of me. We absolutely are built to be in relationship with one another. Yeah. As human beings, we are meant to be in relationship with whether that's friendship, parenting, significant other, whatever. And you don't have to have a significant other relationship in order to have a healthy and fulfilled life. But the internet would have you believe one or the other is true. Either you don't have to have that, and how dare anybody suggest you have to have that, or you absolutely have to have that and you're a bad person if you don't.
Yeah.
Like that's how the internet is. Or like on the one end where you don't have to have it and it's untrue, they vilify the people who do. So like somehow you're betraying your feminist self if you're actually wanting to be in a relationship with somebody. So I think the internet makes all of those things
and on the flip
extreme.
Side, if you aren't looking for that, or if you don't like, there's something cat lady or there's whatever. Something wrong with you.
Yes.
And like, again, there's something wrong with you, and this book can fix it, or this app can fix it,
or this coaching
can fix it. And I mean, I don't think I really need to. I've got a lot of growing left to do. I am not.
There's a difference between evolving and fixing.
Yeah, but I don't think I'm broken. I don't need to be fixed.
And no one is. Like this idea that like there is a way to do it and everybody else's needs to be fixed. That's the problem, I think, is that there is no one way to do it. We are built to be in relationship, and those relationships don't have to look the way that the world is telling us they have to look. Mm-hmm. That's all. I just want to give a little shout out to the people who are in relationships and feel okay about it.
Yeah.
Because I feel like the internet is like, you either need to be in one and it's the most perfect thing ever, or if you're not in one, you can't be looking for one because that means you aren't satisfied with yourself. And it's like, that's bullshit.
Or you're desperate. I hate that word.
No.
I hate the word desperate.
We all want to have a person.
Yeah. God forbid we want to be loved in this
dare
this day and age.
How dare you betray your feminist
Yes.
tendencies?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
crazy.
Moving on.
Yes.
She's not desperate.
Not desperate.
She's not spending all of her time focusing on dating.
If you've listened to this podcast and think that I am a worthy conversationalist, though, hit my line. I felt like I had
not be afraid of
felt like I had to put
DM.
that in there.
That's funny.
Yes.
That's funny. Anyway, any other misconceptions? I don't really have. Mostly they've been about, mostly my misconceptions, my questions that I have are about you being misconceived.
Curious.
And so that part, I'm like, oh, this really makes her look. But the one thing I have been asked sort of directly and indirectly is like, am I making you do this podcast with me? Or am I, like what? So let's clarify. Why are you doing this with me?
I think, it's kind of a two-pronged answer. The first is that we're both so busy. This is sometimes the only time we sit and talk to one another.
It's true
and
story.
we live at opposite times of the day. So like you are up and working a lot earlier than I am up and working, but
not much.
It feels like much to
yes.
me. But then my job is in the afternoons and evenings. So I come home and I'm like, hi guys. And you and Dad are like, cool, I really have only got 30 minutes left in me.
Of my brain.
Yes. And we've had conversations now, and I think this is something that I hope has improved the older I've gotten, of like, you're more honest about like, I can't do it right now.
Yeah.
I got, I spent all day talking about other people's problems. I just need to be able to watch my shows. And I'm like, cool. Okay, nice to know that's where we're at.
My youngest used to call it, I didn't even know I was doing this. This was just a funny aside story. But my youngest calls it TikTok time because back when it was just the two of us living in the house together, apparently on Thursdays was my busy client day, and I would apparently just like check out with my phone on the, I'm not denying this, by the way, I'm sure it happened, but his perception of it was that I would just literally like check out for hours at a time. And so he would just start being like, ladies and gentlemen, it's TikTok time. Yes. And I wasn't always scrolling TikTok, but back in those days I probably was. Yeah. That was when TikTok brought me joy. Now I can't even go on it anymore without wanting to punch people.
Curse app.
Yeah. So anyway, TikTok time. Yeah. So sometimes poor Faith comes home from work and I'm like, I can't hear one more person's story. Please don't make me listen to one more person's story. Therapists out there, if there's anybody listening, you guys get it, I'm sure.
And you did a good job. Well, I don't know if you did a good job or if you just had to explain it to me enough times that like, it's not me. Like,
no, and I didn't do it much when you
stories.
when you guys like lived with me and were my, everyday, I didn't do that.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there's the great story of you still with your coat and bags on your arm, as I had like a full come apart in the kitchen my sophomore year of college. So it clearly is just a recent development.
Yeah.
So that's thing one. Is
my boundaries have gotten stricter.
Yes. Well, also we have a different relationship now. Like I am able to kind of self-regulate in a way that I wasn't necessarily able to do that at 16.
That's true.
And so I don't need to. Yeah. Sometimes I do still need to like call you and be like, everything's going wrong. But by and large,
I did that up until my mother died. Yeah. So I don't think that you ever outgrow that fully.
But by and large, I'm able to like process my own day myself. Yeah. So that by the time I get to you, I don't need to process it out loud.
All right. So that's reason one.
That's reason one.
So we actually can talk to each other.
But reason two, I think it's important for people my age to see good relationships with your parents.
Yeah, there's a lot, speaking of the internet, there's a lot of discourse out there about like breaking up with your mom.
Yeah.
And like not talking to, and I'm not saying that's always the wrong idea, but I do think like, again, the internet is an extreme place.
And Gen Z, not to give us a lot of flack, Gen Z is an extreme generation.
Well, you're an internet generation.
We're an internet generation. And it felt important to me to demonstrate, like, look, we've had times on this podcast where we have not agreed. Mm-hmm. We've had times in real life where we have not agreed. And that doesn't mean either that, like, you are a monster who can't hear me, you think you're in charge of my life, whatever. Or that, like, I am this, like, shrew of a daughter who doesn't I'm sure you have a different perspective as, like, a parenting person. But the older I get, the more I'm like, I don't owe you anything, but I'm like, I want to be an active participant in my relationship with my mom because I like you as a person. And I think the older you get, the weirder that kind of dynamic becomes. Because look, like I still live in your house. There's a world in which it's not.
There's like judgment on it too sometimes when it is a good relationship. Like people are like, yeah, I've seen women be like, my mom is my best friend, and they get judged for that. And I'm not saying I'm your best friend. I'm just saying like older, grown women being like, my mom's my best friend. We travel together, we do this together, we do whatever together. And I think, what's wrong with that? Maybe because mine's dead, so I'm like, don't take that for granted. But I am like, why do people feel the need to tear that down and be like, what's wrong with you that your mom's your best friend?
Yeah,
I don't know. I feel like that. I mean, who knows you better? Like.
And I think you've done a good job also, and this is like a little flex on you, that...
I'll sit a little taller?
Yeah, I mean, you should. You are able to compartmentalize who I am today, and you don't let who I was all growing up influence how you deal with me right now. Like, I think that's also can kind of be a tricky place with like adult kids and parents is like, you had an instance... We were talking about it last week where like I came to you and I was really upset and you were like, oh my God, I see you at 6. Like this is suddenly a 6-year-old has just stomped into my bedroom, even though I'm still fully 23. And
by the way, she was upset about being sick to her stomach.
It really was like
it was a personal feeling.
Yeah, because it was also past the age of 12. That is a personal feeling.
It wasn't though. You sound like you were drinking.
To quote my grandmother, this is child's play.
It's so good.
But I think like that can be tricky. And I think it's tricky for both parties because there are times where you and I disagree. And I'm like, it's because she's my mom. Like she can't understand, not she can't understand, but like she can't understand this in the way that I understand it because she is my mom. She has a different perspective on my life. She has a different perspective on the world.
Yeah.
So when we disagree, there are moments where I'm like, we're just not going to agree. And that's going to have to be okay. And it doesn't damage. And it doesn't make you a worse person. It doesn't make me a worse person. This is the nature of having adult relationships is that you're actually not going to agree with everything.
And it's not a personal attack when you don't.
Mm-hmm.
I think that, I was just going to say, I was going to explain my side of it, but then I realized like you also need to get a lot of credit for that because at 23, I don't know that a lot of people are able to look at their parents and be like, oh, this is just because we're going to disagree on this and not think like, God, why can't she just see it my way? Or why can't, I don't think your siblings do that with me. I think they are more likely to be like, what the hell is wrong with her?
Sometimes times where like, and this is my own stuff, that like you and I disagree. And I have had to get more comfortable at being like, just because my mom doesn't agree with me doesn't mean my opinion is wrong.
Or that she thinks I'm
or that she thinks I'm dumb, or that she thinks
I
I hold your opinion of me very highly. And so in the moments where we've disagreed and I've made a choice anyway, it has been a moment for me to kind of say like, well, you know what? Just because my mom disagrees doesn't mean this is the wrong choice.
Yeah.
Just because my mom and that's
a very evolved.
That's hard. And it's still hard. And there are still
it doesn't get easier though.
You and I disagree and I call my best friend and I'm like, I just have to complain about my mom. And she's like,
and I bet you she's like, nope, I will not let you talk about her.
Actually, she's really good. And
she loves me.
She does love you. And that's also the great thing is that like, I sometimes will couch complaints and being like, and I know she's really great. And my friend is like, you are allowed to complain about your mom.
You are.
Even if she's great 90% of the time.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And I like that you have a friend that sees both sides of that. Because I think, at least from being married, I always would be like, I don't know who to complain about my husband to. Because I don't want them to judge him.
Yeah.
On this thing, but also, God, I hate this about him right now, and I wish I had somebody. And that's like that. Usually, that's your mom that you call.
Yeah.
So now it's like, well, who do you call about your mom?
Yeah.
So I'm glad you have a friend that's like, yeah, I know she's mostly great, but also sometimes annoying.
And sometimes like this is the great thing about having siblings too, is that nobody knows you better and nobody knows your parents better. And so sometimes like. I mean, when my sister and I lived together in college, or I actually remember this was Dad, but like my
thing.
father and I got into it about something kind of over text in our family group chat. And I kind of like held my line and held my boundaries in the family group chat. And then my sister texted me and was like, the second you said XYZ, I had this image in my head. And it's an image from a video game that just says, be prepared to fight the horde. And I was like, yeah, I figured this was coming. And then my brother texted me and was like, really classy way to tell dad to shut the F up. And
that's the thing, like your dad and I, the fact that you guys have this group chat where you talk about us, we're like, that's our proudest accomplishment.
Yes.
Because we feel like not only have we really made it as parents that our kids are talking about how stupid we are, but also like their relationship is so good that they gang up on us. We consider that like a personal achievement that we have raised siblings to be like, it's them against us sometimes. Like we feel like, yes, that's how it's supposed to be. Yeah. You're supposed to be like, oh my God, did you see what mom did today? Like, that's perfect. I love it.
Yeah. So that's the second and more important reason why I'm doing this show is I think it's important to demonstrate that like wanting to have a good relationship with your mom is not a moral failing.
It's not weird.
It's not weird. It's actually, I would argue, quite common to want to have a good relationship
that's
with your
the
mom.
other, internet misconception. There's more. I know more people that do have good relationships with their parents than don't.
And you can have a good relationship with your mom as an adult while holding space.
Nice.
While holding space for the fact that, while holding space for the fact that,
it's a wicked deep cut, if anybody remembers
from part 1. Just holding space for the fact that, like, sometimes your relationship is going to be colored by the fact that you have known each other literally your entire lives. Yeah. Again, you like before I was cognizant, you were there. Yeah. And that is going to influence how we deal with one another. It just is.
And I think I keep picturing there's like those like the duck, the like picture of the duck that's like smoothly gliding across the water from the surface, and then the picture of the kicking. I keep picturing that when you're talking because I'm like, yes, this on here looks like this beautiful, I don't know, easy relationship. And it is actually for the most part, but that's often because we're like the ducks, like our legs are going underneath. Yeah. I keep, you said you don't treat me like I'm the 6-year-old that I was. Like I've let you grow up in a sense. And I think, that's 100% because I'm the youngest of 6 and I was never treated that way. I'm 52 years old and there are times where my older siblings treat me as if I'm 5 still. Yeah. So I really made a conscious decision as a parent not to, well, really as an everything, as a teacher, as an aunt, as a parent, I've always tried to meet kids, quote unquote, where they are developmentally, because no one really ever gave me that courtesy. Yeah. And so that's my like duck legs going is like, I approach our relationship with that idea in mind of like, that doesn't mean there aren't times where I'm like, Jesus Christ, rolling my eyes at the 6-year-old that's coming out at me and doing what she's doing. But that conversation we had where I was like, I saw the little 6-year-old, that was hours after the incident happened. I didn't react in that moment like that. I didn't treat you like the 6-year-old that I had to like get my ass out of bed and not be angry that you were interrupting my sleep. Like that, truly, like that's what you have to do. And so, and I think on your end where you're like, I make these decisions where I'm like, my mom she's not judging me. She just disagrees with me. Like that's work you're doing to make this relationship work. So my point is like, it looks easy and it looks like we get along beautifully. And largely that's because we do, but not because it just happens.
And you approaching our relationship with that level of like open and understanding, it taught me how to do that with other people in my life. Like I now work with kids primarily. So like it's easier to remember that when you're working with kids every day of like, hey, kids change radically week to week. So one day it might be this thing, but also like the stuff they're feeling at the ages that they're feeling it is important and is as big as it looks. Yes. And far be it from us to be like, this isn't a big deal, or like, you're going to be fine, or don't worry. Like, no, worry. Like it's happening in real time to them. And we need to remember that. And that means that it's a
whole other podcast.
Yeah, well, you could talk about that for hours. But that means like my relationships with my either adult parents or my adult friends, that I've known, I just was on the phone with my best friend and I've known her since we were 16 years old. And
you've known each other since you were 14.
Since we were 14. We didn't really become close until we were 16. So I don't
like each other.
Yeah, we had some throwing to do on both parties. But there are times where I don't let the 16-year-old color the 23-year-old I'm now dealing with.
Yeah.
And that I give you credit for teaching me that of like, hey, people.
Also, she's exceptional.
She's the best. She's the best.
She doesn't let the inner 16-year-old color her.
Yes.
Like she's the best.
But I think you showed me through how you raised us how to do that. And I don't get it 100% right all the time. Sometimes I still treat my siblings like they are 6 and 10. But what are you going to, like, that's human nature. You're going to do that every so often.
Yeah. All right, we got to wrap it up because somebody has a job.
Go. This is what I mean. This is why we have to schedule time to talk to
But I just had a thought that we have to have a Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce episode.
We do.
I mean, because that's a Gen X, Gen Z. Because on the heel, or like prior to that wedding, we both were literally obsessed with another young.
Oh my God! Can we talk about her wedding?
We have to. We'll come back. Come back and see us next time.
Internet wedding episode.
We're talking about internet weddings and how they brought us so much joy.
Yes.
All right, that's it. Really quick. I mean, I think we always talk about wonder as if the weeds were, like, I feel like the weeds, this one, were misconceptions, but the wonder is that we just have this relationship where we can be like, what we need to talk about? We need to clarify some things. And we get on into it. And then the wonder is all of you guys who send the messages and say, we love hearing this, or share it, clips with your friends, or all of the things that you're doing. We love it. Both, both Gen X's and Gen Z's. We love that you guys are listening and that you're sharing with people and that you find value in what we have to say. So thank you for that. Also, I have one more wonder, because we were talking so much about her. No one really tells you that one of the best parts of parenting is your kids' friends. Like, one of the things I miss the most about New Jersey is my middle one, well, and really my youngest. They're friends. And I only don't miss this one's best friend because she doesn't live in Jersey anymore. But like, I love that kid as if it's like you get to have all these other kids. You get your kids and they're awesome. And then you get to have all these other kids. And it's such a bonus. Nobody really tells you. It's such a bonus.
Fun also on the flip side of that to have the parents that everybody loves. Because that's like, my best friend will call me and will say like, by the way, I really am curious what your mom thinks about this. And I'm always like, you can feel free to call her. Like she'll talk to you.
I know. I was so excited when they all graduated college because I could start following them back on Instagram. Like, it was a little creepy to follow them when they were young kids, but a lot of them followed me. And now that they're adults, I'm like, follow back. I love catching up with them. They're the best. Anyway, that's my wonder for the week is my kids' friends. Reading, watching, listening. Anything good?
I'm reading, speaking of friends, I'm reading the book My Friends by Frederick Bachman. That's how it feels.
Oh, it's so good.
I'm only like 5 chapters in, but it's incredible. And the way he writes is so, you're almost, I'm sure you feel this as a writer as well. It's almost infuriating how good the writing is. And there's been
every level.
Yes.
His word choice and like,
I literally out loud to a friend in rehearsal yesterday I was like, just listen to this passage. And it was a passage early on, this is not a spoiler, but it was a passage that was like, if you've ever loved somebody so much, I'm going to butcher it. Sorry, Frederick Bachman. I'm sure he's listening. It was a passage that was like, if you've ever loved somebody so much that you are willing to be mistaken for somebody else every day for the rest of your life just to see your friend's eyes light up, then you probably understand how Tim feels. If not, well, then there's really no way to explain it. And you're just like, God damn. Like, what? I was like, oh, don't say goddamn. In my head, because I was just about to say, as I was reading it, you know how like they talk about cuteness, aggression? Like there's a lady that I follow, this veterinarian she's always like, I want to throw you into traffic. And like, she's so overcome by the cuteness. I feel that way reading his books. I have like, I don't know what, admiration, something, aggression. Like I would like slam my book down. It's not really a book, my Kindle down, and be like, God damn, like I was like consuming his work because I mean, look at just what I'm doing with my body. If you're not watching right now,
I look like I'm lifting weights. Anyway, that book is amazing. And these guys were reading, she and my other daughter were reading Beartown, that series by Frederick Bachman, and at the same time, and I kept being like, please stop it. Stop reading it so you can read my friends. So,
Also, hey, if you,
I know Beartown's great too, but
if you haven't,
you got to finish this one and tell me what you think, because
Yes.
I think this is the greatest thing ever written by anyone ever.
I'm sure it probably is. Beartown is one of those books that if you are, this is going to sound like an insane review. If you have ever found yourself thinking, I don't understand how someone can be assaulted and not say anything, read Beartown.
Yeah. Good. Timely.
Yeah.
Anyway, that is amazing for that value. This book, word, sentence, page, paragraph.
It's incredible. It's incredible.
It's the greatest thing ever written.
Infuriatingly good.
Infuriatingly. Anyway, so go get
Go
it's
read My Friends by
Frederick
Frederick Bachman. It's out in paperback now. That's why I have it, because I'm anti-hardcover. Sorry.
I love that. And in a crazy, like whiplash shift, I'm watching right now the show Elle, which is like the beginning, like the prequel to Legally Blonde. It's adorable. The
really
cast
cute.
is phenomenal. It's completely, it's not completely fluffy. It's fluffy in the same way Legally Blonde was. Like it actually has some important themes, but it's like through the lens of this cute little girl in pink bikinis.
Yeah.
So it's amazing. We've been really enjoying it, and it is not the literary masterpiece that Frederick Bachman's books are. But if you need a palate cleanser, Elle on Amazon Prime. All right, thank you all for listening, and tune in next time when we talk about internet weddings.
Take care of yourselves.
Bye.
Bye.